Hi everyone, I hope you're all doing really well. Today I want to share something very important, and that has to do with the role of faith and the role of divine for the twin flame journey. And I just want to, start by saying that we are just basically the essence of the divine, in ourselves. And we come from a place where we were one with our, the supreme consciousness. And as we took on, these individual identities and we came away, we separated from that supreme consciousness and started attaching ourselves to these individual identities, thinking this is what we are. This exactly, started a whole journey of suffering and a whole journey of living in illusions, life after life, thinking that what we see from the five senses, how we perceive the world to be, is the real way in which the world is. And going through a spiritual awakening for whatever reason, however it got triggered, is basically about realizing that you are embodying that supreme consciousness within you, that supreme consciousness is not different from you, that God is not outside of you, that you yourself are divine. And when you experience, your twin flame, you somewhere get a glimpse of that divinity, simply because your twin flame is you. And at the soul level, when the divine feminine recognizes the divine masculine as her soul in another body, it is a very divine experience, and it is an experience which basically is like a recognition of the divinity that she has, the divinity that you are drawn to, in your twin flame, when you find them to be very attractive and, somebody who is just out of the world for you specifically. It drives you absolutely crazy as to how magnetic this person is for you, despite what they may look like, or they may act like, or they may be like. It matters not, because the personality is something you are not deterred by, and the recognition has happened at the level of soul. You are able to see yourself in that person, and hence there is that magnetic draw. So, recognizing that this is just an embodiment of divine, present inside of you and present inside of your twin flame, and looking at your twin flame and recognizing that divinity is basically like, seeing in the mirror and recognizing your own divinity, that they are mirroring back to you. When we say there is mirroring between twin flames, there is also a mirroring at the basic level of your soul. Your soul is being mirrored, in the other person, and you are able to see the divinity in them. Then look at, the source of the divinity, which is you. So the role of the divine is very important on this journey. You don't find, any solace or anything, any peace, and any sort of, a surrender without faith in the divine. And allowing, divine to guide you on this journey, whether it happens through your spirit guides, it happens through your connection with your higher self, it happens through, the role that a guru plays in your life, the role that any divine form is playing in your life through your faith. It can be your faith in divine energies, it can be your faith in God, it can be anything at all. It matters not, that is not something for you to prove to anybody or for anybody else to pass a comment on. It's just basically whom you are connecting with the most, the experience that you are experiencing of God in whatever way or form is the most legitimate experience for you. Nothing is more divine than the other, and nothing is less divine than the other. Remembering everything is divine, your existence is divine, and the existence of other beings is also divine. So just cultivate, that relationship with God in this journey. If you are initiated on this journey, you can't sort of distinguish between your twin flame and God anymore, or the twin flame journey and the journey of the divine union. They are not separate journeys. This is often a sort of a confusion which can sometimes exist, especially for those who've already been spiritual. They may think that that is different from this, but it's the same thing. This is here to intensify your spirituality. This is here to intensify your knowledge of God. Because sometimes before my twin flame journey, I used to still have a separation from God, where I used to think God is separate from me, and I used to look at God as outside of me, but very driven by God, very moved by God. Many divine experiences had already touched me in very, very deep ways in the years preceding to just even meeting my twin flame. And I already was developing a lot of devotion, I was committed to sadhana, to so much else. But in the twin flame journey, the big leap that happened was that realizing that that God that I am seeing and I am sensing outside of me in any way or form is basically just a mirror of the God that I am. And especially experiencing this with your twin flame, as many of you would have. In fact, maybe all of you, if you're on the journey, have experienced that divinity of experience of being with your twin flame, or just looking at them sometimes can lead to activations in you. Just looking at the picture can lead to certain recognitions that happen at the soul level that the mind can't fathom, and that the mind can only oppose, or just like not make sense of at all, right? So the point here that I am trying to make is, don't separate the divine from you, and don't separate the divine from your twin flame, and don't separate the divine from your journey as well. And eventually you will also start seeing everything and everyone around you as divine as well, as just a reflection of your divinity. Just a mirror of what you're experiencing within you is what you basically experience outside of you in all forms of relationships. So the more you are allowing that inner transformation to take place, the more you are also seeing that transformation on the outside in terms of your general life and relationships improving in response to the improvement that is happening within you. So what's within, and the same thing is without, is an experience that becomes very, very deep for you. So this is about the role of the divine, and this journey gets much easier if you can have faith. What is faith? You can just have faith in something which is beyond your mind. It can be the Tao, in simplistic terms. You can understand it to be the universal flow, the universal force, which is larger than your individual will. I was just reading, something which was coming from the Ashtavakra Gita, and it spoke so beautifully, about the I, that we all have, the ego basically, which is trying to act like it is the doer of things, is the biggest misconception in like the journey of life, because the ego is literally not the doer of anything. We ourselves identify as the ego, and we think we are doing things in life, when we are just witnesses to life. We are just witnesses who are observing everything, observing the existence unfolding in front of us. And the soul itself is always divine. The soul is always unsullied by anything that the ego does, any wounding, any trauma, anything, even the worst kind, or the anything that you may have experienced has not sullied your soul. So it's very important that you align with that soul aspect of you, and faith can move mountains, and faith can really take you closer to that soul aspect. See, it's not as simple as, the mind can understand. But I will try to explain. When you have faith, what happens when you have faith in the traditional sense? If you have faith in God, and maybe you're a Christian, so you would go to a church because of that faith. What happens there? Now when you're sad, you turn to Jesus, and you share your experience and you ask for help. Maybe you offer a prayer, and you start seeing signs. Depending on how intense your faith is, you will start understanding that, okay, Jesus is supporting me through this. Many of you, if will have very intense faith and a sense of surrender, that now I leave this to God to just decide for me, and then you see miracles start happening and things start working out for you, and your problem no longer remains a problem. So this is the power of faith, right? What does this do? What did this do here? It basically just reminded you of who you are, that you are all powerful in some sense, that if you really align with soul, by aligning with God, the ego which was acting like the doer, the ego which was acting like it is doing everything and creating everything, no longer plays a role. And suddenly the divine will is what you're able to access, and is what you're able to see unfold on into your real life. This is what surrender does. It basically takes you away from that um, alignment with the ego, that identification with the ego, which is always acting like it is doing everything, which has a belief that it is the doer of things. But aligning with God in faith lets you align with your true self, lets you align with who you really are. And that leads to miracles, that leads to the divine will really happening. So like the Lord's Prayer in Christianity, because I went to Catholic school as well, so I'm just remembering that. And clearly the Lord's Prayer also offered this. There is a line in the Lord's Prayer, which spoke of "Thy will be done," meaning thereby there is an acknowledgement of how God's will is superior to your will. And what is God's will for you? God's will for you is the will of your union. You'd never have to doubt that, because imagine the day you got initiated on this journey, so much changed for you. Life is not the same anymore. You have a deeper connection with divine. You are now able to access the spirit realms. Many of you will be able to talk to your spirit guides. Many of you will have clairaudience. Many of you will have clairvoyance. Many of you started learning tarot and understanding the messages that are coming from the realms that are beyond you, right? Many of you could have started listening to these videos and all other kinds of videos. Specifically, why? Because now some dimension opened up which is beyond your third world, your 3D, your 3D dimension, right? So this is why understanding that coming on this journey, there is a divine force which wants you to unite. And that is also the divine force which is reflected in your soul. It's basically your soul's force. And the source itself, the source of, consciousness, supreme consciousness, God, whatever you want to call it, is invested in your union. So aligning with soul, aligning, with that higher self, the divine, your guides, your guru, any form of God that you are personally connected with. Don't listen to what anybody else has to say about your faith, about your experience. It is very important that you have faith in your experience with whoever it is that you are aligning with. Nobody else, because people will come with their ego and pass judgments on other people's faiths or on other people's experiences of spirituality. As you understand, many will not understand the twin flame journey because they haven't experienced it. So similarly, don't allow somebody else's doubt or somebody else's conviction or somebody else's judgment, to cloud your faith, and deepen your faith as much as you can on this journey. Instead of going back into the 3D matrix and reliving your life, from that standpoint of trying to re-enter life again, trying to make sense of life once again, going into the matrix because you've had too much pain on this journey, will not help you. Allow your ascension to happen. Allow God to guide you. Only when we are, under the influence of our ego and we listen to what the ego is saying and doing and everything, and we believe all of that to be true, do we lose our God essence? Do we lose our connection with God? We lose our connection with the divine. We lose faith in the journey. We lose faith in our ascension, and we get overpowered by the challenges of the 3D matrix, the challenges coming to you in the forms of triggers, from your job, from your parents, from your people around you, from your family situations, your financial situations. Those are just merely triggers for you to release certain blocks within you, certain misconceptions within you that are not serving you. And to have that larger perspective on these triggers only is enabled, when you are connected to God, when you are connected to spirituality in some form. And this is why I always, always, always stress on the fact that have a daily meditation ritual. You could be doing anything under the sun in, your spiritual journey. You could be doing guided meditations every day. You could be doing chakra work, and, you could be doing Reiki, and you could be doing subconscious work. But if you are not following a powerful practice of, meditation, which is a part of your daily routine irrespective of your twin flame journey, a meditation which is for you, which has nothing to do with your twin flame journey directly. You're not doing it, to have union, but you're just doing it for you, to know your truth. Then, this journey will become difficult. You will have trials and tribulations will overpower you. You will, be impacted by energies of portals and moons and, phases of moon, and not know what to do during those days. Not know, why you're getting so triggered, because you will constantly be in the mind. There is a wholly different practice that everyone, should do for themselves, and that kind of a practice is something which gives us a separation from our mind and body, and it brings us, in alignment with who we are. It brings us into that observer state. And somewhere, just, as a byproduct of these practices, you will know that even to move further along on your journey, you have to be in that present moment state. You have to be involved. You have to be mindful. You have to be in that state of energy balancing. What is a balanced energy? A balanced energy presents itself in the form of the person living in the present moment, the person experiencing stillness of the present moment. So to cultivate that stillness, it is very important that, that you undertake some kind of a practice which is separate from, your daily work that you might be doing for your twin flame journey. You continue to do that, but this practice should be your holy grail. It should be, for you. It should be for knowing you, knowing who you are. Because remember, this is a spiritual journey. First of all, it is important that you know God. It is important that you know yourself, rather than only trying to focus on your divine masculine and, on uh, the twin flame concept. Let the twin flame journey take its own course. You continue to heal your triggers. You continue to do the work that you're guided to do, but don't control the outcome of when and how it will happen, right? And if you are interested in understanding more about what can this, practice be for you, I will just share my experience that I learned Shambhavi Mahamudra, from Sadhguru back in 2016, and it's been like a part of my daily practice since. And it's been so incredible with so many benefits, so much that I'm able to share has only come, from my experience with the divine, and my experience, with this practice every day has been incredible. There are hardly any moments where I will get triggered, where I will get upset. If I have done my practice for the day, nothing in the day can faze me. Nothing in the day can be overpowering for me. And this has taken, some time for me because I wasn't regular with it earlier on. But now it's unthinkable for me to miss it. And simply speaking, there is no reaction that comes out of me now. Now everything is a response, everything is in my control. This is how you take charge of karma as well. This is how you take charge of, um, you know, not being a slave to karmic influences that we already have, but we learn how to respond to that. So very very important learning, which I have had, and so many other things. The experience has been so energetically profound for me, of experiencing the rise of kundalini every day while I'm doing the practice. Experiencing that upsurge of energy every day, for a few minutes, is incredible. And you don't know the benefits that it has for the body, for your physical health, for your mental health. They are very very incredible. So this is the practice that I can personally recommend. And you can learn it online as well now. It's just been launched, and even I feel compelled to relearn, and re-experience this practice, because over the years, through various free programs, of revision for this practice, I have re-experienced this practice and deepened, my understanding of it. And this is a very very affordable practice. It can be a part of your daily regimen. It also includes, certain yogic asanas. So for some of you who want to learn yoga the correct way, the yoga of the physical body the correct way, which prepares you, to go into deeper states where you are one with the divine, where you're one with your own divinity, and you are able to bring that stillness, that energy balancing into your life. And going forward, this helps you incredibly in your twin flame journey as well, because now you're able to be, in that place of the present moment and not fret about your twin flame. And especially, for those who are experiencing separation, this can be very very useful. And the other thing also is that when you are, more in the present moment, and when you are disconnected from the mind and you're disconnected from the body for a few moments, you experience yourself as a witness to everything. It really really helps to also heal your subconscious blocks, because whatever exercise you do to understand your inner child wounds, to understand the wounds of your inner self, those exercises can become very profound when we are able to witness the wounding that we have. So, detachment, while witnessing, is facilitated when we are spending more and more time in the present moment. So, it will help you cultivate mindfulness as well. Going forward in your journey to sustain, your union, it is important that you're not in your mind. Many of you already know of that it is important to not constantly be aligned with the thought processes of, your mind. The mind is always panicking, the mind is always anxious. What if this happens, what if that happens, what if this doesn't happen, oh that really bad thing happened to me, somebody said this to me, now what will I do? I don't know when will union happen, it may take an eternity to happen, and I don't know what to do till then, my life is on a standstill. These are all thoughts of the mind. And to not be associated with these thoughts, because your thoughts are not you. To live in this world where you think you are your thought is your biggest disconnection from the divine, because you are not your thought. The thought is just coming from the mind which is just a part of the body, the brain. You're just associating too much with the brain and the neurons which are firing constantly, nothing else. But it's very unfortunate that since we are children, we are not taught that we are not the mind and the body, because nobody around us is also living that experience of not being the mind and the body. In ancient India, there used to be a very different educational system where enlightened sages, or very, very, yogis with profound wisdom, used to become gurus and become teachers. And the ones who, got accepted into learning from the yogi, learning from, these gurus, they learned this. It's so basic. Everybody learned this. They learned practices to know they are not the body and they are not the mind. And this is why, they were able to perform very well in their day-to-day life. So, to increase your capacity, this is what I personally recommend. And but if you've also been moved by, let us say, Paramhansa Yogananda, I know that Paramhansa Yogananda is somebody who's very popular in the West. then you must learn Kriya Yoga, by the Paramhansa Yogananda Institute. I have not learnt it, but I know Kriya Yoga is extremely powerful. And this is the process of your union. This is important for your twin flame union as well. This is just a side note that I'm sharing with you. It is important. If you have been, if you're moved by Osho, then learn the dynamic meditation. That can be very cathartic, and you can release a lot of, that subconscious blocks and stuff by practicing the dynamic meditation every day. But learn something which has been offered by an enlightened being, in the last century or so, which is preserved still, and which is powerfully still working. And I will just leave a link to Inner Engineering in the description box, and as the first comment, do check it out. It's online now. You can even get initiated into the practice online. It's supremely affordable, and you will see just within the 7 days of the practice, it takes 7 days to learn it, and it's flexible. It has a whole online course and everything. You'll have all the guidelines and everything. There is such an incredible post learning support system which is available online, as well as around you as well. There will be some help that you can physically also find, which will help you to institutionalize this practice in your day-to-day regimen. So there is sustainability which is already built into this, and you will find how profound it will be for you physically, mentally, and spiritually, and how it will help you come in the present moment and connect with the divinity within you. That is not the mind, that is not your fear, that what will happen to me now that I'm on this journey, or in general what will happen to me. Just experience those few moments every day of not being the mind, not being the body, can be very liberating, and is going to really aid your spiritual ascension as well. Will aid the correct movement of kundalini in your body, because so many twin flames that I speak with have had the kundalini activation. There is so much science around kundalini, and so much explanation given around how, when this energy rises, it's your feminine energy, it's the Shakti energy, how it has to rise now. It has to find a flow through all your chakras, to basically finally reach your crown chakra. And what experience you will have when it reaches there, that is basically the experience of your inner union of the Shiva and the Shakti merging. And if you have experienced a Kundalini awakening through your twin flame journey, then it's very, very important for you to sustain it properly, so that it doesn't, you don't get bothered by it. You don't have those intense waves of emotion, and when you're not able to handle what those waves are, and they completely dismantle your day-to-day existence, and you're not understanding what that energy is doing to you, what that is bringing into your life, how your normal relationships and perceptions are changing. Some preparation is needed. So this practice can also help you immensely in balancing your energies and understanding the Kundalini awakening. If you've already experienced a Kundalini awakening, in balancing that Kundalini, because it becomes a part of your daily sadhana, all right? And if you have not experienced a Kundalini awakening, then this can be a very powerful tool for you, depending on your readiness and how you receive this. It can lead to Kundalini awakenings. It always almost does. So very powerful tool here. I'm just sharing this out of no other incentive, nothing else, that I am gaining from this, out of just love for you all and just sharing my experience with it. And just I would really be very happy if all of us are able to have our energies balanced, we are able to be in the present moment, we are able to know ourselves as beyond the mind and the body, and then we are able to align with our twin flame connection also at the level of who we really are, rather than looking at it from the level of the mind, which is overthinking about it, which is coming from a place of lack, coming from a place of ego, coming from a place of what might happen and what might go wrong, etc. And that's all I wanted to share with you all, guys. So sending you lots of love. If you feel guided to book a one-on-one session, my email address is imaccompletelife@gmail.com. All you have to do is write to me, and within the session we also explore an exercise to go within and understand the part of us that is hurting, and we learn how to heal it. So that is a part of the session as well. It's a 3-part session. You also receive an exhaustive list of certain meditations that you can do going forward after the call. So the impact of this session remains with you. And that's all, guys. Sending you lots of love. Bye.